Good morning. And welcome to this service at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as minister of this congregation. Our community is as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, whoever you have been, whoever you are on the path to becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here and now. We are a covenantal community, which means that we make promises about how we will be when we are together. In these times of continuing pandemic, wearing masks unless we're speaking or have it one person speaking at a time, practicing varying degrees of social distancing depending on our comfort levels, and also getting vaccinated are part of our covenant with one another. So if you are here in Holland with us in person this morning, or if you join us for events throughout the week, our hope is that you stay in covenant with us by being vaccinated, as fully vaccinated as you can be. If you are attending worship this morning in person and you cannot be vaccinated or are choosing not to be vaccinated, we hope you will join us online next week. If you have a medical exemption, let's you and I have a chat so we understand how we can navigate that together. I extend a special welcome to any visitors and invite you to fill out a guest information card. If you're here in person, those are just by the patio doors you came in. There's clipboards with some yellow sheets of paper. And I think we're still working on getting our live stream audience up, but if the live stream is up and the chat is enabled, there will be a link in the chat right now. We will meet for social hour right on the patio after service. The patio is out the doors you came in. There will be coffee, and sometimes there's some snacks. And I believe there still will be a Zoom social hour after the service if you want to join us online. Mary will post a link to the chat when the chat's enabled near the end of service. Perfect. I'm getting cues that our live stream audience is there, so welcome if you're joining us in the live stream. The board recently recommended or approved new policies which are enabling congregational singing. Yay! For those of us here. We understand that this might be a heightened risk. We are going to ask you to keep your masks on when we're singing during the service, but we will be inviting you to rise in body or spirit and sing with us. The lyrics, as usual, will be appearing on the screen. If you would rather have the lyrics right in front of you, or it would be easier for you to see them if they're right in front of you, go ahead, at some point during the service, go ahead to the patio doors and get a gray and a teal hymnal. You'll need one of each for the songs we're singing. And to recognize that some of the recent policy changes are creating more risk in this space for some of us, the policies also create an intentionally lower risk, lower exposure to potential COVID space in Goddard. So starting this morning, there are well-spaced tables there that if you'd like to ever join us to be here in person for worship, but be more distanced, not have singing, not have people taking masks off to speak, you are welcome to worship in Goddard. Yes, it's still a screen, but there might be community there, and you can join us for fellowship before and after outdoors. So know that we are navigating these endemic times, trying to create space for many people to gather on our campus. And I heard from Carolyn Saunders that they still have a few spaces open on the Tex-Mex tour that's happening in October. Go ahead, find Carolyn, who's in the back here, waving her hand at the end of service if you're interested in going on that tour. Welcome. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you, Hongyu. It's good to have you back with us. Our opening words this morning come from Reverend Elizabeth Mount. They write, to begin, to start, to create, to undertake, to grow, to promise, to increase, to generate, all these are our birthright. And so we are created, so may we create. The ability and the choice to create is sacred. To withdraw that chance from any person without their permission would be a violent act, the cutting off of life itself. A single powerful red-orange flame glows in the darkness around it. And yet, as precious is the right to simply not, to end, to terminate, to stop, to discontinue, to rest, to hibernate, to impede, to prevent. These too are our birthrights. For without consent, our ability to create becomes not a blessing, but a burden and an imposition. Without space for a no, there can be no trustworthy yes. Today, we come to this holy place and time, ready to invoke the divine, to make space for the sacred, to co-create community once again. This too is a choice. You cannot, you may not be coerced into relationship with the holy or with one another. I invite you. I ask you to join us. I respect it if you will not today or ever. More sacred than any individual need is choice. The right to know oneself, the right to know what you are ready for, what you need, to stretch when you can, to pause when you will, to know your body and your mind, your spirit better than anyone else, and ultimately to be trusted with the responsibility of your own living. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. My name is Preston McMillan. And if you have a chalice or a candle with you at home, please light it with us now as we light our chalice here in Holland. And will everyone join me in saying the words for our chalice lighting by the Reverend Kate Romano Griffin. May the flame of this chalice, the symbol of our faith, connect us all who have come before us, all who with us in body and spirit, and all who are yet to come into being. May it serve as a reminder of our unity and connection across all time and space.
So many feelings this week, and so long since I have wanted to say words that I am about to say. We are about to sing Hymn 170, and I want to read the words of Kimberly Davis, the author of the Far Fringe, Notes on the Far Fringe about UU Congregational Songs, a blog, just to remind you a bit about the song before inviting you to sing it. This song, written by Holly Near in the wake of the Harvey Milk assassination, is a call to action. It demands that we make sure everyone knows who we are, how many we are, and we who will not be moved, we who are scared we who are angry, we who are loving, and we who are resisting. It is my great pleasure to invite you to stand and sing 170. The words will be projected on your screen. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 3, and 5.
You know, I wondered whether that was the first one, the best first one to sing, but it felt right to me. If I know you, I know that you are feeling a lot this week. Anger, despair, loss, fear. Maybe some of you are carrying the hope for all of us, the hope we so need. Whatever it is you are feeling in this moment, in these moments, know that it is normal. It is normal to feel. And when I'm feeling a lot, I remember that theologian, Unitarian Universalist theologian, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker once wrote, "Evil's accomplice is anesthetization. Evil's accomplice is not feeling. Something you can do right now is feel. Feel it all. Do not open up yourself to not feeling or close yourself off from feeling, because anesthetization could become evil's accomplice. So feel it all. Because when access to abortions and medical care becomes even more limited than it already is, people will die, right? People with uteruses will die. Black and brown people will die. Poor people will die. Teenagers, children, our children will die. And death is something that Unitarian Universalists cannot support. So remember, Monday's leaked draft decision, which is not yet final, we know, right? But that leaked draft in the Supreme Court has been in motion for almost half a century. And very smart people have been preparing for these moments, for this moment, for literally decades. Protesting in the streets, while it might feel really good, and feel that if you want to, Protesting will not change policy alone. The day that Roe v. Wade is not federal law, providing an abortion will be illegal in the state of Arizona, right? Pima County Attorney Laura Conover has already made a commitment to do whatever is in her power to not criminalize abortion providers, to keep them out of jail in Pima County. In an email to UU Justice Arizona Network supporters earlier this week, Executive Director Janine Gelsinger drew attention to a different perspective of those running for Maricopa County Attorney, the same position that Laura Conover has in Maricopa County. And while we cannot endorse any candidate, I can suggest that you look into which of those candidates might have made a commitment to protecting people's right to choose what happens to their body, right? Janine has promised candidate forums through UU Jazz this summer if you'd be curious to hear any of the candidates' answers to that question and to see how you might support that candidate yourself. And also, down the line this summer, someone might need a ride. Someone might need to know who is safe to talk with. Someone might need childcare, elder care, or lost wages for a few days of work. Someone might need these things. So start thinking about what you could offer. Start thinking about who you might know, what someone you might send that someone to. In the meantime, I would encourage you to give to the Tucson Abortion Support Collective or the Abortion Fund of Arizona. Both offer tangible support to Arizonans and Tucsonans who are seeking medical care. Our service this morning will pivot towards Mother's Day and other types of choosing, but know that what you are feeling is justified and real and can fuel you. There is something you can do today, and there will be more to do tomorrow. So stay connected, keep feeling, and don't let us give up on us.
Our earth is strong. It can hold the pain, our pain and joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and concerns each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the small stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. Personally, the first draft opinion of Roe v. Wade is really wearing heavy on my heart and mind at this point in time. But we who live here in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and sacred resource. Let us remember those who are walking through the desert right now without access to water. We pour water from our plastic jug, similar to the ones used by those seeking for greater assurance of water as they cross the desert. Like our ministry partner, No More Deaths. If you do have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go to the menti.com, that's MENTI.com, and put in the code 5305-5199. If you are here in person and cannot access the internet, You can go to Brian Moon, and he can type in your joy or sorrow for you. If you are here in person, and you are also welcome to come up to the table and place a stone in our shared bowl to symbolize your joy or sorrow. The pebbles create ripples of hope.
It on our Mentimeter. That text is too small. The joys and sorrows of our community this morning, being sick on Mother's Day. Ooh, prayers for healing to you. May you heal well. Joy for the mother of my children and sadness over missing my own mother. So many of us are with you in that joy and that sadness. Grateful to share this turbulent time with and in community, and us with you. For everyone who has had an abortion for any reason, you are seen and loved. Amen. Our impending loss of civil rights weighs heavy today. Yes, I'm feeling that. Joy at hearing a group of people sing together. Amen. Joy at seeing our church's children again. Just, I think that's an expletive. Yes, indeed, indeed. Remembering my mother, June Bartlett, who fought for women's health and abortion rights for years, and particularly following the murder of her husband and Dr. Britton at the abortion clinic in Pensacola in 1994. She inspired many. May we all carry June's memory forward. Healing for my mental health and protection for my children separated from me. Oh, how hard we are with you. The right to abortion is part of a larger right to privacy, self-determination, and bodily integrity. I am afraid of losing any and all facets of that right. You are not alone in that fear, and there is a community that sees you. I'll get you in on a secret before I offer words of prayer. Mother's Day is every preacher's least favorite holiday because it is the holiday where it is the easiest to say the exact wrong thing, right? And at the risk of saying a lot of wrong things, I offer these words of prayer from Reverend Lisa Bovey-Kemper called Circle of Care. Her words, I've chosen them because I think they capture a breadth of what we are holding on this national holiday. Will you join me now in a moment of prayer, contemplation, meditation, whatever helps you center down? In religious community, she writes, we share our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In this circle of care, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we each come to the table with hearts in different places. It is especially so on this day, invented to honor women who nurture. In this circle of care, we honor the truth that mothering is not and never will be quantified in one single descriptor. Mothering can be elusive or infuriating, fulfilling or confusing, commonplace or triumphant. It exists in the everyday experience of each person. There is no human being that is not connected to or disconnected from a mother. And so we honor the complexity of experience, writ large in flowered platitudes, but here in this space laid bare, honoring the truth in each of our hearts. There is room for all in this circle. If you have carried a child or children, whether or not they came to be born, we see you. If you have fervently wished to do so and circumstances of fate made it impossible, we see you. If you love children we cannot see, whether because of death or estrangement, we see you. If you never wanted to be a mother, we see you. If you are happy to mother other people's children as an educator, an auntie, or a foster parent, we see you. If your mother hurt you physically or emotionally, we see you. If you had no mother at all, we see you. If your mother is or was your best friend, we see you. If your gender says you are not a mother and yet you take on the role of nurturer, we see you. If you wonder whether your mothering has been enough, we see you. And if yours is a different truth altogether, we honor your unspoken story. There is room for all in this circle. May it be so today and always. Amen.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope. For we are now the keepers of the dream. Now, an offering will be collected to support the life and the work of this congregation. If you are joining us on live stream, you can send a check to the office, give online at UUCTucson.org/donate or text 833-361-5796. If you are here in person, the offering baskets are by the patio doors. And if you would like, you can put your offering in there now or on your way out.
This is a prayer for parenting in a pandemic for the third year in a row, written by Reverend Sarah Goodman. This is a prayer for the parents of children. This is a prayer for the parents of babies, the parents of teens, the parents of young adults. This is a prayer, not a sending thoughts and prayers kind of prayer. but a please someone help us prayer. It has been 2 years since the world shut down. It's been 1 year since people started to act as if things were normal. It has been 9 months since we were promised that our children would be protected. It'll come anytime now. We are waiting. This is a prayer to not be forgotten. We have held our babies in our arms while they looked around, astounded that there are more than 5 people in the world having spent the first year of their lives at home. We have held our young school children in our laps while they try to learn writing and etiquette and how to make friends through a computer screen. We have held our preteens as they struggle to make sense of themselves and the world when they aren't seeing each other, not able to play and talk and laugh as they need to. We have held our teens through more disappointed expectations than they ever deserve to have experienced in so few years. We have sent our young people off into the world, not knowing what will be there for them when they get there. We have held our beloved children while they were sick, when they gave in to the loneliness, when they lost their way. And we have done this while trying to do our jobs or leaving our jobs because it was too much to do all of it, or losing our jobs and struggling with how do we care for our families now. And we have done all of that while having to make impossible decisions like, do I send my unvaccinated child to school with other unvaccinated children who won't be able to wear a mask correctly all day and risk exposing high-risk grandparents to a deadly virus? Or do I keep my child home while they will not get to play with other children for another year, where I will be constantly fighting with them about what work needs to be done, what food they don't want to eat, and doing my work in the hours that they're sleeping? We tried everything. We have tried to parent alone. We have tried to pod with other families. We have tried to send them to school. We have tried to hire nannies. We have tried to do homeschooling. We have tried outschooling. We have tried nature schooling. We have tried everything. We have repeatedly wept when the things we try don't work, when the guidelines made to keep our children safe have been rolled back one by one. We have been sick more times this year than the last 5 years, all of us and our families. We have had our resolve tested, our marriages strained, our relationships with our children torn to pieces. We have tried to be present for our children when they are angry, when they are weary, when they are despondent. And who has been there for us when we are angry, weary, despondent? We have watched our children suffer while we suffer, and there is no respite. This is a prayer to show you, O beloved parent, that I see you. I know your heart is broken and you are trying to hold it together until things get better. This is a prayer, O beloved Spirit of life, that things get better soon. Please, sometime soon, my heart. Because it has been 787 days and there is no end in sight. For today, I offer parents this prayer. May your weariness ease. May your children grow strong and happy. May you find ways to feel like yourself from time to time. May you find healthy and sustainable ways to process this trauma and grief. And may you know, always know, that you are loved.
Thank you, Jamili, for putting images to that prayer. Captures so much of what parents of small ones and bigger ones have been feeling the past 2+ years. Is Mother's Day for everyone? Julia Ward Howe, who authored the first Mother's Day proclamation in 1870, might have said yes. And you'll note, my script notes, that the apostrophe in her Mother's Day proclamation is after the S. Grammatical people tell other people who might not understand that quite at coffee hour, tell them how that changes the significance. Mother's Day, the apostrophe after the S, right? In that proclamation, Ward Howe insisted that mothers must disarm, and teach peace to their children, especially their sons. You see, Ward Howe had seen violence up close. She was at first a strident abolitionist and then joined the Civil War as a nurse. During and after the war, she supported mothers and children whose husbands and fathers had died in that war. Her vision of a Mother's Day was for mothers, people that had experienced the effects of war on families, to gather together and envision how they could teach peace as a way of relating to each other. For the originator of Mother's Day, this day was not about the will to choose to raise children. This day was about the choice to raise children with a culture of peace. And not a nice, pleasant peace, oh, let's just have some peace, but a peace that subverts patriarchal cultural norms that contribute to those cultures of war and violence and oppression. Mother's Day is not just about mothers or women or parents or people who love their mothers or people who cannot fully love their mothers. Mother's Day is about all of us. It's about knowing that we have a choice to be nurturers, to be raisers. That type of choice, yes, we said that earlier, the authentic choice that comes with bodily autonomy, which is vital and necessary and in line with our values. But also, the historical roots of this holiday are about a choice to dismantle patriarchy, and I'll add other oppressive systems, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. This day is about consciously choosing how we will nurture, how we will raise the generations after us, biological or otherwise. And I don't know if you know, but by joining this community, you are making a choice to be a parent to all the children who come through our doors. When you make the choice to join this religious community, their children become our children. And you are part of that these are our children. And you get to choose here how you will nurture or raise our children. I grew up Unitarian Universalist, and there are relatively few of us still kicking around, although we've got a few in the audience, though. And we often find one another because there are a few of us. And my ears are noticing a growing trend about how we describe growing up in a Unitarian Universalist church. I am hearing more and more, especially among my contemporaries, I was raised by the Unitarian Universalist Church Congregation Fellowship, blah, 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 blah. Not I grew up in, but I was raised by. It's a subtle but important shift. When you say grow up in, it does not describe the relationship between the child and the community. But when you are saying I was raised by, it makes that relationship clear. When you are raised by a church, you are nurtured by religious education classes and workshops, by formal dinners and casual potlucks, by yard sales and auctions, raised up not only by the activities, but more importantly, by the people who made that happen, the people who brought you in to the dinner, to the auction, to the yard sale, who helped you call that church home. People who claimed those children, us, me, as their own. And for me, being raised up looked like knowing the names of adults at church without looking at their name tag, right? It looked like being asked to help set up coffee hour, even when it was a little too heavy, that thing I was given. It looked like helping organize books at the yard sale. My dad's here, and he always made me organize books, but other parents did too, right? Or being invited to light the chalice, or saying the collective words of that communal dinner, or singing in the choir, or cleaning out the garden beds. Through all these activities and more, I learned not only how to be human, but how to be a better human. I learned how to be a Unitarian Universalist. And here, the children are our children. And to our children, we are seeking to pass on our Unitarian Universalist values. So we have choices about how we will raise and support our children, how we will nurture and support their families and parents too. How will you choose to nurture our children who have recently experienced nearly 2 years of social isolation from peers and some of the most formative years of their lives? How will you choose to nurture their parents, who, as Reverend Sarah Goodman's words this morning make clear, are not okay? The New York Times reported this week that a study out of the Ohio State University College of Nursing found that 66% of parents polled in early 2021 qualified for parental burnout. That's what the psychologists are labeling it, parental burnout, 66%. Parenting has always been hard, right? And 66%, that's a big number. A psychologist reflecting on this study reflected that the burnout among parents is higher than the burnout among physicians of this time. Having talked with them, at least 66% of the parents in this congregation are burned out or near it. Knowing that, trusting that what I'm telling you is true, how can we care for them? What respite might we offer them here? A few weeks ago in the Baja 4 service, some parents amongst our Baja 4 collaboration said that what they really need is to be able to be in worship without their kids. And yet, right now, the truth is we only have volunteer and staff capacity to assure safe childcare for those 4 and younger, right? So there's a tension there. Do you hear it? These parents want worship without their kids. Love them, but get them away from me for an hour, right? And the volunteer and staff capacity is not there yet. Is there space to resolve some of this tension? What would that look like? Maybe what it's looked like before, but maybe something different. Offering space for our parents to worship is not just about them. It's about our children too. Because you remember that they are our children. Their families have chosen us as their congregational family. And we need to be part of that raising up. We need to raise them for the world they will inherit, not the world we know or knew. How will we raise up our children for a world where, in their lifetimes, Earth's environment may become incompatible with human life on vast arrays of this planet? It's a big question. We won't solve it this morning, so I'll have another one. How will we raise up our children for a world where pandemics happen more often? How will we raise up our children for a world where more authoritarian rule, where democracy doesn't always prevail? What would you need now if you were a child leading that change that the world needs in a few decades? Our children need resilience. Yes, you have not faced the world our children will face, but you have faced hard times in your life. I know it, you've told me, and you have discovered where that resilience lies in you. How could you pass that wisdom on to the children? Our children need courage. Yes, you have not faced the destructions we are looking at on the horizon of our children's lives, but you have faced challenges in your life, and you have grown courage to act in the face of injustice, to love in the face of hatred, to counteract despair with hope. How will you pass that wisdom on to our children? This week, I'm thinking particularly that our children need OWL, comprehensive sexuality education that we offer here at this church. This could literally save their lives. Looking at a country where we are headed for and looking at the country where we are, understanding who they are and who they love and letting them know that they are inherently whole and holy and autonomous might have never been more important. Our children need to know that beloved community is not just something we imagine, but something we can actually practice. They need us, this community, to be better and more loving, more accountable for them. We cannot raise our children for the world we inherited. We must raise them for the world they will inherit. In their book, Dear Universe, Yolo Akili writes, "Our children did not get their wounds alone. They were created by the actions of our families, our communities, our world. They were created by the things we choose to believe in, the causes we chose to champion, and the despair we chose to neglect. We didn't get them from individuals, and we cannot heal them operating as individuals. The healing work is communal. It needs to be present along with the ongoing work that the village must do to heal itself. Healing our children," they write, "means we need to put love in every possible place we can think of." This, I believe, can be a place where our children learn to heal. Our values call us, if nothing else, to put love in every possible place. I asked a lot of big questions this morning, and let me tell you that you do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to know everything, but you do need to love, and through that love, create conditions for healing. Because even if you don't feel resilient or courageous when imagining the world our children will face, I know that you feel love for this world and the world that is to come, and you can do something with your love. I'll end by circling back and have us read those words from Julia Ward Howe, her first Mother's Day peace proclamation. These words speak, I think, to the need for peace in Ward Howe's day and to a deeper peace, a larger justice today. We're going to read this responsively, which means that I'll read a line and then you will all read a line, and I will ask you to listen as you speak and as you hear. And I'll note that though you will hear the binary genders reflected in these words, we affirm all genders here, and taking binary genders out of these words took something away from them. So all genders are whole and holy here, and these words will say women and men. Will you join me now? I'm going to read the plain font. I would love if you would read the italicized font. Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender with those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of the murderer is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Then let them solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, and each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. We are grandmothers and grandfathers, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, siblings and lovers. We are all these things and more. Go forth and know that our children, our families need you to put love in every place possible so that the world they inherit will have the imprint of your love. Go forth knowing that you have choice and power and autonomy. Go forth knowing you are whole and holy just as you are. And go forth knowing that we are here for you always. Please have a seat.
Will everyone now join in the words for Extinguishing Our Chalice by the Reverend Amy Zucker, Morgenstern. When we take from this chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of